Hello everyone, this is Sandeep Kumar Sinha. Welcome back once again to my channel. Today I would discuss marginal rate of substitution, which is the basis of indifference curve analysis of consumers equilibrium. Let us start with the literal meaning of marginal rate of substitution. Marginal means additional, that is one extra. Rate means per unit, and substitution means one is used in place of another. Here one commodity is used in place of other commodity. Thus, how can we define marginal rate of substitution? It is defined as the rate at which one commodity is substituted for an additional unit of other commodity. Let me explain with the help of an indifference schedule which shows 5 combinations of both commodities X and Y giving the same level of satisfaction. Now with the fixed money income and the given prices of the two commodities, a consumer cannot increase the consumption of both the units of commodity X and commodity Y. यहाँ पर एक का कंजम्पशन बढ़ता जा रहा है और एक का घटता जा रहा है. Why? Because the consumer has a fixed money income, and with that fixed money income the consumer cannot increase the consumption of both the commodities at the same time. If the consumer wants to consume more of one commodity, let it be here commodity X, then the consumer has to withdraw certain amount of money from the consumption of commodity Y. Let it be Y, that is these commodities Y means are sacrificed. Means certain units of commodity Y has to be sacrificed to consume every additional unit of commodity X. मतलब एक एक यूनिट अगर एक्स्ट्रा कंजम्पशन कंज्यूमर करता जाएगा तो क्या करेगा, वो कुछ रुपया कमोडिटी वाई से निकालेगा और इसके कारण क्या होगा, कुछ यूनिट्स वाई का घटता जाएगा. दैट इज दोज यूनिट्स ऑफ कमोडिटी वाई आर सब्स्टिट्यूटेड फॉर एवरी एडिशनल यूनिट कंज्यूम्ड ऑफ कमोडिटी एक्स. नाउ लुक एट द टेबल. हियर whenever the consumer shifts from consumption of X and Y by this combination A to B, जब A से B पर कंज्यूमर शिफ्ट करता है, then what is the observation? 1 unit more is consumed of X and certain, that is 7 units of commodity Y that is sacrificed for this additional unit of commodity X. Means whenever the consumer shifts फ्रॉम ए टू बी, ए से जब बी पर शिफ्ट करता है तो व्हाट इज द ऑब्जर्वेशन हियर? इंक्रीज इन यूनिट ऑफ एक्स. एक्स के कंजम्पशन में कितना इंक्रीज हुआ? लेट इट बी डिनोटेड बाय दिस सिंबल डेल्टा एक्स, एंड दैट इज इक्वल टू 2 minus 1, that is equal to 1. Means 1 unit is consumed more of commodity X. Now how much is the decrease in the units of commodity Y? So decrease in units of commodity Y, that is written as delta Y. This is equal to 8 minus 15. This is equal to minus 7. Negative sign means minus sign simply indicates an inverse relationship. ये बताता है कि दोनों के यूनिट्स ऑफ कंजम्पशन में उल्टा रिश्ता है. मतलब एक अगर बढ़ता है तो दूसरा घटेगा. वाई? बिकॉज ऑफ द फिक्स्ड मनी इनकम ऑफ द कंज्यूमर, एंड दैट इज माइनस 7. इसका मतलब क्या हो गया? दैट इज इग्नोरिंग द नेगेटिव साइन वी कैन राइट डाउन दैट 7 units of Y are sacrificed. 7 units of Y are sacrificed for 1 unit of X. मतलब X के एक यूनिट के कंजम्पशन करने के लिए 7 यूनिट का सैक्रिफाइस करता है कंज्यूमर. और इट कैन ऑल्सो रिटन एज दैट 1 unit of x substituted, that is 7 units of y. मीन्स एक जो यूनिट है कमोडिटी x का, उसमें 7 यूनिट्स कमोडिटी y के को सब्स्टिट्यूट कर दिया, एंड देयरफॉर दिस इज द रेट ऑफ सब्स्टिट्यूशन. मीन्स एट व्हाट रेट दिस सब्स्टिट्यूशन इज देयर, द रेट ऑफ सब्स्टिट्यूशन is equal to, that is delta y means number of units sacrificed, and delta x, that is additional unit of x gained, and this is equal to minus 7 by 1, that is minus 7. Negative sign just represents the inverse relationship between the two units, and having the negative slope. Later on I will discuss this negative sign also with the help of indifference curve. This is the 7, means 7 units of y are sacrificed for this one additional unit of x consumed. Whenever the consumer shifts from A to B, satisfaction level is the same. Again, when the consumer shifts from B to C, what is the observation here? The consumer has again consumed 1 unit more of x, but the units of y consumed is only 5, means compared to this figure 8, it is observed that 3 units of y are sacrificed for this one additional unit of commodity x. Now again we can write down that here, whenever the consumer shifts from B to C, then what is our observation? That is increase in units of x. This is equal to 3 minus 2, that is again 1, but decrease in units of y, this is equal to delta y means units of y sacrificed, and that is equal to 5 minus 8, that is equal to, this is minus 3. Again this negative sign shows the inverse relationship. So what we can say here, that again this 3 units of y are sacrificed for 1 unit of x, or 1 unit of x substituted, that is 3 units of commodity y. Now what is the rate of substitution? That is equal to delta y by delta x, and here we put the figure, that is 3, means 3 units of y are sacrificed for 1 additional unit of x. Now what is the observation? This unit of y sacrificed decreased when consumer shifts from B to C. Initially the unit of y sacrificed was 7, and now when the consumer shifts from B to C, it is, that is 3. Again when the consumer shifts from C to D, अब C से अगर D से अगर पर शिफ्ट करता है without affecting the level of satisfaction, because the satisfaction level remaining the same, that is C to D, 4 minus 3, that is 1 unit more is consumed of commodity x, and this is 5, this is 3 units. What is the difference? 2 units. But the 2 units of y sacrificed for this one additional unit of x, means 1 unit of x substituted 2 units of commodity y. So when the consumer shifts from C to D, what is the increase in unit of commodity x? That is 4 minus 3, that is again equal to 1. And what is the decrease in units of y? This is 3 minus 5, that is equal to 2, means minus 2, means 2 units of commodity y now are sacrificed for again the same 1 unit of commodity x, means 1 unit of x substituted here only 2 units of x, and thus the rate of substitution is equal to minus 2 by 1, that is minus 2. Again when the consumer shifts from D to E, means combination D से जब E पर शिफ्ट करता है, what do we observe? The consumer is again consuming 1 unit more, that is 5 minus 4. One additional unit of X is consumed, and for the consumption of this additional unit, the units sacrificed is 1. Means again 1 unit of commodity Y is sacrificed for additional unit of X that is consumed. So we can write here, whenever the consumer shifts from D to E, जब वो D से E पर shift करेगा without having a change in the level of satisfaction, then what is the increase in the unit of X? That is equal to 5 minus 4, that is again 1. Means again 1 additional unit of X is consumed by the consumer. But what is the decrease in the unit of commodity Y? That is equal to 2 minus 3, that is equal to 1. Means minus 1. So here we write that 1 unit of commodity Y sacrificed for 1 again additional unit of X, means 1 unit of X substituted only 1 unit of Y, and that's why rate of substitution is equal to delta Y by delta X, that is equal to minus 1 by 1, that is minus 1. So what we observe, that gradually whenever the consumer is going to just consume 1 additional unit of commodity X, the units of commodity Y sacrificed goes on diminishing. Means what is the observation here? That the consumer is willing to sacrifice certain units of commodity Y for every additional unit of commodity X that is consumed. Means there is a certain rate at which this sacrifice of commodity Y is done for every 1 additional unit of commodity X. This rate at which the commodity of Y sacrificed for every additional unit of commodity X, this rate of substitution is termed as marginal rate of substitution. ये जो रेट हमारा है, जिस रेट पर कमोडिटी Y का कुछ यूनिट्स हर एक यूनिट X के लिए सैक्रिफाइस होता है by the consumer, and the consumer is willing to sacrifice, this rate is termed as marginal rate of substitution. Actually, what is the situation? These units of commodity Y sacrificed is the price paid. ये हर एक एडिशनल यूनिट जो कंज्यूम करता है कंज्यूमर, वो उसकी कीमत चुकाता है कैसे? कुछ यूनिट्स कमोडिटी Y का सैक्रिफाइस करके, and those units of Y sacrificed is in actual practice the price paid for every additional unit of commodity X consumed. तो MRS is actually क्या हो गया? The rate of substitution, but it is the price paid for every additional unit of commodity X, and that rate of substitution is termed as marginal rate of substitution. How can it be calculated? It can be calculated as the ratio. Ratio of what? Ratio of two components. One is the units of Y sacrificed, and another one is the unit of commodity X gained. Means how it is the ratio of units of one commodity sacrificed, here it is commodity Y, which is represented by delta Y. It is the ratio of units of one commodity sacrificed and units of other commodity gained. Here it is the commodity X. इन दोनों का ये रेशियो है. Let it be delta X. ये हमारा रेशियो है. That is MRS can be calculated mathematically as is equal to delta Y by delta X. Thus MRS is measured at the ratio of number of units of Y sacrificed and the number of units gained of commodity X. Delta y is the number of units of y sacrificed, delta x is the number of additional units of commodity x consumed, which can be calculated from this table. Look at this table. For the first combination A, MRS cannot be calculated because we don't know the units before. Now for this combination B, 1 unit is consumed more of x, and for that 7 units of commodity y are sacrificed. So we write down here that is 7y is to 1x, means 1 unit of x substituted 7 units of commodity y. Now for this combination C, 1 unit more of commodity x, but for that 3 units of commodity y are sacrificed, that is 3 units of y sacrificed for this 1 additional unit of x consumed, means 1 unit of x has substituted this 3 units of commodity y. Now for this combination B, we gain 1 more unit of x is there, but 2 units of y sacrificed, written as 2y is to 1x, means 2 units of y sacrificed for 1 additional unit of x consumed. And for this combination B, again this is 1 unit of y sacrificed for 1 unit of commodity x. Now what do we observe here? This is 7, this is 3. Units of y sacrificed decreased. This is 3, this is 2. Again the units of y sacrificed decreased. And that is the feature of marginal rate of substitution that goes on diminishing for every additional unit of x consumed here. Means जो भी unit sacrifice करता है कोई भी consumer, किसी भी कमोडिटी का एक एक एडिशनल यूनिट कंज्यूम करने के लिए वो यूनिट जो सैक्रिफाइस यूनिट है वो धीरे धीरे घटता जाता है. एंड दिस कैन ऑल्सो बी सेड टू बी द स्लोप ऑफ द इंडिफरेंस कर्व. मींस मार्जिनल रेट ऑफ सब्स्टिट्यूशन मेजर्स द स्लोप ऑफ indifference curve. Means it can also be illustrated with the help of the, that is, indifference curve. Means now we can draw an indifference curve and simply explain the marginal rate of substitution. Now look at here. This is the indifference curve, and on this y-axis this is commodity y is plotted, and on this x-axis commodity x is plotted. While moving down the indifference curve from this A to E, what do we observe? That is the unit of commodity X goes on increasing, where the units of commodity Y goes on decreasing. Now let's find out the slope at the various points. That is these A, B, C, D, E are the points that lie on the indifference curve and which shows the combinations of the two commodities at these points. Now, how to find out the slope of this indifference curve? At point, let it be B. The slope of indifference curve, that is IC at B, is equal to, what is the slope? That is equal to AP by PB. Mathematically, it can be calculated as the ratio of this change, that is AP, the changes made on the y-axis and the x-axis. What is AP? This is equal to y1, y2 by x1, x2. And what is y1, y2? That is the change in the units of the commodity y consumed. And what is x1, x2? That is the change in the units of, that is, commodity x consumed. And that is called the slope of indifference curve at B. And what is this ratio? That is the marginal rate of substitution of x for y. This is the slope of the indifference curve at the point B on the indifference curve. Now at slope, suppose C, we are to find out the slope of this indifference curve at C. So what is the slope at C? This is C. What is the change made on the y-axis? That is BQ. What is change on x-axis? That is CQ. So BQ divided by CQ. This is BQ divided by, that is, CQ. What is BQ? That is Y2, Y3. This is Y2 and this is Y3. And what is CQ? That is X2, X3. This is X2, X3. And what is this ratio? That is the ratio of the changes in the units of commodity Y and the change in the units of commodity X, which is none other than MRS, that is marginal rate of substitution of X for Y at the point C on the indifference curve. Similarly, at point D, that is what is the units of Y sacrificed, that is here it is equal to, this is CR. CR is the change made in the units of, that is Y, and DR is the change made in X, and that is equal to Y3, Y4. This is Y3, Y4, and that is X3, X4. And what is this ratio? That is the change in Y and change in X, which is MRS. Now at E point on indifference curve, DS is the change in the units of Y and ES is the change in the units of X. That is, DS is the number of units sacrificed of Y and ES is the number of units gained of X. That is at point E. Now we write here what is this quantity, that is DS, and what is this quantity of X, that is ES, and that is equal to Y4, Y5, that is the units of Y, and X4, X5, that is the units of X. Now these are the units. This is the unit of Y sacrificed, this is the unit of X gained, that is delta Y by delta X, and which is simply the marginal rate of substitution. The number of units sacrificed per unit of the X gained is equal to MRS. So therefore, what we observe here, that is the slope of, what do we observe? That slope of indifference curve is equal to MRS. That is, MRS measures the slope of the indifference curve. Now look here. What do we observe in this figure? That is Y1, Y2 is, that is more than Y2, Y3, which is more than Y3, Y4, and which is more than Y4, Y5. Or it can also be written as, that is Y4, Y5 is less than Y3, Y4 is less than Y2, Y3 is less than Y1, Y2. And if X1, X2 is equal to X2, X3 is equal to X3, X4 is equal to X4, X5, and that is equal to 1 unit. So therefore, we can say that Y4, Y5 by X4, X5 is less than, that is Y3, Y4 by X3, X4 is less than Y2, Y3 by X2, X3 and is less than, that is Y1, Y2 and by X1, X2. And what is this? This is MRS at E, that is MRS at D, that is MRS at C, and that is MRS at B. So what do we observe? That is MRS goes on diminishing as we move down along an indifference curve. That is an important feature of marginal rate of substitution, which is called as diminishing MRS. And because of this diminishing MRS, indifference curve is convex to the origin. अगर ये MRS diminish नहीं करता, अगर ये हमारा constant होता, अगर if MRS remains constant, then these are the simple hypothetical questions. If MRS remains constant, then the indifference curve would not have been convex to the origin, but it would be a straight line downwards sloping from left to right. And if MRS increases, अगर MRS घटता नहीं, MRS बढ़ता, तो indifference curve का shape कैसा होता? Concave shape होता. Last, it is also to be mentioned that marginal rate of substitution is the ratio of the marginal utilities of the two commodities, that is MRS of X for Y. Marginal rate of substitution for X for Y is the ratio of marginal utility of X and marginal utility of Y. It can also be calculated by using this formula, means ratio of the marginal utilities of the two commodities, that is the marginal rate of substitution. So what we learned, marginal rate of substitution is the number of units of one commodity sacrificed for every additional unit of other commodity consumed. Next, what we learned, that marginal rate of substitution measures the slope of the indifference curve, and this slope goes on decreasing, that is MRS goes on decreasing, and that's why indifference curve is convex to the origin. And because the diminishing MRS, that is indifference curve is convex to the origin. अगर MRS कांस्टेंट होता तो इंडिफरेंस कर्व स्ट्रेट लाइन होता, MRS अगर इंक्रीज करता तो इंडिफरेंस कर्व कनकेव होता, and that is the ratio of the marginal utility of the two commodities is the MRS. That is all about marginal rate of substitution. We will meet in the next video. Till then, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.